They were bought for 1020 GP each. 100 nature runes cost me 15700 GP, which is 15,000. And by alching all of those steel plate bodies, I gained a 2300 GP profit. The yew longbows, however, by alching 1098 of them, I managed to lose myself 64,782. So in total, I actually lost 62,482 GP. That's not a bad loss considering I gained almost 78k experience. It is, you know, roughly just less than 1 GP per experience. So if you go to 99, that method is, you know, going to cost you about 13 million, a bit less. And that's all I've got to say there. So as you can see, alching totally gave me this much experience. No other experience was gained. So, you know, no constitution. I didn't get any material gains such as drops or charms, of course. I just lost money. I lost 62,482 GP. So what I'm going to do is pause this in a minute, and I'm going to prepare my inventory for the whole superheating thing. I want to show you exactly how you should be preparing your inventory for the best experience and things like that. And I'll be back in a moment. Alright, so this is how you want your inventory set up. So you want your nature runes in the very top left of your inventory. You then want 8 iron ore. When it comes to your magic spell book, you want to make sure all of these are ticked in this order. Don't worry about defensive casting. Hide combat spells, hide teleport spells, so make sure these have a white box around them. Miscellaneous spells wants to be unticked, so they're hidden. Hide spells wants to be on, and it wants to be in sort level order. So this is where my superheat item spell will be, on the very left. Now, when I click this, as you can see, it's going to be just above this iron ore here. This is where you want it. So remember that area. I just need this to move it up a little bit, and that should be like in the middle, which that's pretty good for me. So all I'm going to be doing is pretty much just spam clicking the superheat item. I'll be mashing that, and it'll do all 8 of them. It is possible to do 9, although doing 9 means you can't use urns. I strongly suggest doing urns, although it doesn't affect your magic experience. It does greatly enhance your smithing experience gained. I'm going to be doing in 2k ores. You can send away 28 urns. That's a big chunk of experience, you know. I think it's about 5k, 6k more experience, so it's definitely just worth doing. When I get 10 urns, I'll just show you me pausing the clip and pausing the timer, and teleporting it away. That means it'll affect my time as little as possible and my overall experience gained. What I'm going to do here is quickly reset my mage XP. Yep, I've got it wrote down, so no worries. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start this up. So like I said, I'm just going to show you a quick little guide on what you're doing here. So superheat item, let's start this clock and mash this. Of course, when it comes to doing superheats, mouse keys can actually be a great help. I think when you're doing these, I would really consider using mouse keys. I'm not going to be using them personally, although, you know, you got to be banking a lot, and that can really affect your experience if you're not doing it at a fast enough pace. So just make sure you are either like trying to maximize your experience with banking. I probably wouldn't suggest doing this at the GE. In fact, I'm going to pause and move elsewhere for an insta bank. So there we go, pause. I'm just going to teleport to Catherby and resume. I'm going to resume the video when I'm about halfway through and give you some information. So I'll see you then. Hey there guys, I'm 23 minutes in and I've actually got 10 full urns. If you didn't already know, the maximum amount of urns you can hold at once is 10, so I won't be able to make any more until I've teleported all these away, so I'm gonna teleport all these away. I don't know why, but I like teleporting these away. Should get a big chunk of experience here. Yeah, there we go, 2500 smithing experience. As you can see, I've paused the timer. I'm going to be pausing the timer when I get 10 urns to teleport away. That doesn't reflect magic experience, and that's what this whole thing is all about, the gain of magic experience. So I'm going to restart the timer and talk about a couple of things. So let's continue. So when it comes to doing these superheats, you gotta consider two things. Okay, I could be superheating bronze bars or iron bars and do a full inventory of them. Alternatively, I could be doing something like rune bars. Now, rune bars make you a huge amount of profit. Well, not insanely huge, but they do make a lot more profit than steel bars do. And you can also make a better profit with mithril bars. Now, mithril bars will make you some good profit as well. I actually have access to mithril bars, and I'm sure a lot of you out there will have access to rune ones too. I wouldn't suggest doing them though. The reason I use steel bars is because I want it to be more representative of the general public. I think a lot of you out there would rather do steel bars. Steel bars are better for two reasons. One, you know, if you're doing rune bars, you can only do 3 at a time. Doing these steel bars, you can do 8 at a time. Same for mithril bars, I think you can only do 4 or 5 at a time, especially if you're using urns. I'm pretty sure it's 4. So that can be a bit of a problem there. I can do 9 here very quickly, and as I'm trying to maximize my mage potential, you think steel bars is the best thing if you're trying to balance out mage experience and you know, money earned at the same time. So, you know, doing this isn't sort of the best thing to do. You know, you can, as a human, make a lot of errors whilst doing this. I've withdrawn all sorts of random combinations. I thought I was fletching earlier, and I've withdrawn some, I managed to withdraw some bowstrings and some U-logs, so, you know, you do make mistakes like that, and, you know, I didn't pause the time or anything because humans make mistakes, it's natural, and, you know, that will affect your experience, so, you know, I'm going to leave that sort of thing in. I'm not going to pause that out, and, you know, just get a true representation of the sort of experience you will be earning. What is possible to do whilst superheating steel bars especially is use a coal bag. Now, I'm not going to be using one for 2 reasons. Well, first reason is because you guys might not have one. I'd rather, you know, just show straight up what exactly you can do without one. You know, you maybe not want a dungeoneer, you might be new, you know, but I just want this method to be shown as like a guide for you guys out there. Maybe it's a money making method for you low level players out there. Just things, you know, that can really help you get along in there, and you might not have a call bag to use. You might feel like you don't need one, but, you know, I'm pretty much used to superheating without one, so I'm happy with that. I'm happy with you doing like that. What you can do though is, whilst mining, if you actually superheat, well, for example, oh crap, what's going on here? Hold on, I'm going to pause and sort my inventory out. No, I'm not going to pause. Okay, the problem here is I haven't actually been doing urns, so that's a real big problem. Crap, I'm disappointed with that, but oh well. I'm going to lose a bit of smithing experience there, but not to worry at all. My bad, no worries about that though. Anyway, like I said, you can, if you are going to superheat, you can do things like gold ore. If you're doing that, you can do that whilst mining, and it won't actually interrupt your mining, so, you know, you could just superheat on top of mining. So for example, you can click the concentrated coal or gold ore, and whilst you're doing that, you know, you can cast your superheat spell whilst mining, and that actually won't be interrupted. You know, if you cast, you won't stop mining. So it's a really efficient method to train. Anyway, I've got 33 minutes left. I'm gonna go all the way from there, and I'll meet you back soon. So once again, I've filled up my 10 urns. It would have been a lot quicker, but I managed to screw it up earlier, so I'm just gonna show you this little clip of me teleporting these away. I'm not gonna fuck up this time. Alright, I'm gonna resume clip and pause this, so I'll be back in 11 minutes. As you can see, I've already suppressed the high alching magic experience in 1 hour, and I've still got 11 minutes to go, so it's going very well. I'll see you guys in a minute. Yeah. And we're down to the last 10 seconds here. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but when the timer ends, it does a badass ringing noise that really is really painful, so I'm gonna quickly clear it when it comes up. Okay, that's me finished then. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly teleport the rest of these things away. Oh yeah, also I managed to actually fuck up yet again and not use urns from my inventory, from the bank and in my inventory, so lost a little bit of experience there, but not to worry, it's not too bad. Alright, I'm gonna do some math, things like that, and I'm gonna resume the video when I've got some information ready for you guys. Alright, so in total, it turns out we gained 98,368 magic experience. That's significantly more, in fact 20k more than we did with Alching. On top of that, we gained 38,230 smithing experience. That was with earns, and actually I managed to fuck up quite a lot. So the experience gains could easily be over 100k per hour as well as over 40k per hour a year. It's a very good training method. So let's think about the money. I managed to do 1,856 casts. Now, if you combine that many of them and that many of them, that's coal and iron. 2 coal and 1 iron would be a grand total of... let's say... So 1k iron for this price and 2k coal for this price cost a grand total of 1,197,120 GP. Let's see what I actually gained from that. Whoa. Okay, so that's nearly 400k profit. If not... Well, yeah, it's roughly 400k profit for an hour's worth of time. I also gained, 140k experience. That's incredible. That's very good. Okay, it's not the best training method, but considering it can be done at level 40 magic, as well as, level, I think it's 30 smithing for steel bars, it's really good. I have been using urns. Maybe a few of you aren't too familiar with urns, so I'm going to show you how to make them in a moment. So you can teleport to Varrock and make your way west to Barbarian Village. This is my favourite pottery wheel. Make sure you've got 2 soft clay and a fire rune. Fire or lava staff won't do it, you need the rune. So just use the clay on the wheel. You want to make urns. You want to make smelting urns. Now do the best one you can. It doesn't really matter. It's different for, you can use different amounts. So then you want to use the urn on the oven to make it, to bake it, whatever. Then use the rune on the urn, and there you go, it's made. See, that certain one requires, I think, 50 crafting or 49. You can use lower ones, it just requires more steel bars to fill, or less steel bars, sorry. And they can't be teleported away for as much. So let's have an overall recap. Alches, they can be done every 3 seconds, and you can earn up to 78k experience per hour. That's not too hard to obtain. In total, we lost 62,000 GP. You can train, Alch, but I really don't recommend it. But if you are adamant on training Alch, do Alch plus stuns, or do Alch whilst training other skills, such as Alching whilst hunting, or like I said earlier, Alching whilst killing penguins, or training for finding penguins. So that's alchemy. When it comes to superheat, although you can do double the amount of superheats in the same time you can do 1 Alch, you don't actually get double experience. That's because obviously you have to bank, you gotta withdraw things, deposit things. That's so you don't actually get double experience. You are limited, you have to stay in a bank, whereas when it comes to Alching you can be roaming anywhere. Superheating, however, does gain you money. As well as money, you get huge ass smithing experience and a lot more magic experience than Alching. It does have a lower level requirement, although you actually do need the 30 smithing as well, although that's not too hard to get. You just do the Knight's Sword quest. Very easy, very simple. Steel bars is probably the best way to go to maximise both profit and experience, although if you wanted to maximise your profit, you'd be going for the mithril bars and the rune bars, although they're not really recommended. In general, buy low and sell high. I showed you earlier how to buy things low. Make sure you buy huge quantities of things as low as you can. They will come in, just be patient, okay? Sell high as well. See these steel bars, they are averaged out at 842 each. You could probably easily get at least 860 for them. That really will increase your profit gains and things like that. Just make sure that's how you get the maximum money and things like that. And the last thing, use a fire staff or a lava staff. You can either use... You can be without one, but that costs... You can be, you'd have to get the fire runes. You need 4 for this one and 5 for the high level alchemy, so make sure you've got a fire staff. Okay guys, that was my guide. I hope it's been really helpful. It did take a little bit of time to make, so likes are appreciated, and please leave your feedback because your comments will be read and took into account. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.